Tony Ferguson versus Charles Oliveira. We got minus 165 for Tony Ferguson and plus 145 for Charles Oliveira. Let's start off with Tony Ferguson, who's coming off a loss, the first loss that he's incurred over, I believe it was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 fights. He was on a 12-fight winning streak and then runs into Justin Gaethje, a night that he's supposed to be fighting the lightweight GOAT, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Unfortunately, COVID throws a wrench in our plans. Ferguson still goes out there and ends up fighting Gaethje for an interim title and then pretty much just gets boxed up for 5 rounds before finally getting finished in that 5th. And that was a very concerning fight for Tony Ferguson, who took an immense amount of damage in that fight. Now, I'm not reading too far into it, strictly due to Tony Ferguson just being a complete madman. There is no fighter in the UFC that you can compare to Tony Ferguson from a fighting style to even, actually fighting style, you can kind of say Brandon Royval, like I was saying a couple weeks ago. But mentality-wise, there's nobody that comes close to this guy. Like leading into that Anthony Pettis fight, he injured his ACL, tore his ACL, had a really bad injury there, and within a couple, like right after rehab, didn't even have much legitimate rehab, just did everything himself and just fixed himself and came back better than ever. Goes out there and beats Anthony Pettis and Donald Cerrone, and then gets that title shot against Justin Gaethje, or an interim title shot against Justin Gaethje. Crazy man. Like, the guy is pressure nonstop, all action all the time, whether it's spinning stuff, flying stuff, his jiu-jitsu, his wrestling, whatever it is. He's always marching you down, making you uncomfortable, and putting you in situations that really questions your motivation as a fighter. And I believe this matchup for him in particular is very, very it's good. Simply put, it's a good matchup for him, given Charles do Bronx's negatives. But just staying on Tony Ferguson for a minute, you know what I mean? Like, his punches mechanically aren't the greatest, but it's almost like a Billy Quarantillo type of thing, where it's not the technique that you really need to worry about. It's just a consistent forward moving pressure. Just always, whether it's the face, if you're blocking the face, he's going to go to the body. He's going to keep going to the body until you bring the hands down there. He's going to come up to the head. His elbows are insane. If you guys remember that Anthony Pettis fight where he rocks him in the second round, early second round, you see, Ferguson do his whole loopy. He spins a couple times, but during those spins, if you guys actually notice, he throws his elbows, both of them, and one of them actually ends up cutting Anthony Pettis. Now, the commentators are kind of thrown off and thinking that all the blood is coming from Tony Ferguson's mouth, but I don't think a single drop came out of Tony Ferguson's mouth. It was strictly all from that cut that he landed on Anthony Pettis. It was in the hairline. It was a nasty cut. It was a deep cut. They even stopped the fight to check it out. But yeah, he's throwing offense pretty much at all times. Now, it's really hard for me to believe that Charles Oliveira is going to be able to handle that type of pressure from a guy like Tony Ferguson, who just does not let you breathe. You have to give credit where credit's due. Charles Oliveira is on a 7-fight winning streak, all of them via finish. One of them, I believe, over 2 of them over opponents that he's fought in the past. But you got to say the most impressive one was the Kevin Lee fight. Even the David Tamor fight. David Tamor was on a little bit of a run there, and then he ran into Charles Oliveira. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Oliveira was a slight underdog in that fight. Oh, he was a slight favorite, minus 125. But this run, you got to give credit where credit's due in terms of he went out there, fought 7 times, and finished all 7 opponents. Now, the competition is kind of where it gets a little bit sketchy. Clay Guida, Christos Giagos, Jim Miller, David Tamor, I'd say second best he's fought, Nick Lentz, Jared Gordon, and then Kevin Lee, who I believe is probably the best fighter that he's fought. But we know what Kevin Lee's issue is. For some reason, he just, round 3 comes, round 4 comes, and he's just sucking wind. He's not really able to, get his takedowns going or get his hands going. He really looks demoralized. He looked decent in that first round. In that second round, Charles Oliveira really started to put up get the output going with his hands and his Muay Thai, and it looked really crisp. It looked really good. You can tell the confidence in Charles Oliveira has definitely been building during that 6-fight winning streak leading into that Kevin Lee fight, which eventually allowed him to capture a 7th straight victory. But It was a little bit concerning near the end of that second round where Kevin Lee was on top. We didn't see much movement on the bottom from Charles Oliveira. I don't know if it was from him sucking wind or what it was, but Kevin Lee was doing a good job of keeping that half guard position. Now, come the second round, it looks like the third round, Kevin Lee's just huffing and puffing, does not look good, goes out there and throws a head kick right off the bat, but it kind of gets blocked by Charles Oliveira. And then he goes out there and throws probably a pretty sloppy single leg, and that's where Charles Oliveira just wraps up the neck immediately. He was just waiting for that opportunity, grabbed the neck and just torqued on it, and kind of puts Kevin Lee out. It was an interesting finish there where Kevin Lee didn't think he tapped, kept on fighting, but clearly it was a tap. So big performance there from Charles Oliveira. And I'm not sure if he just needed to go out there and beat some guys like that don't deserve to be on his level at this time just to gain that confidence and help him out. But going from Kevin Lee to Tony Ferguson is just an immense leap. Tony Ferguson is not going to stop. He's going to be the one forever moving forward. Now, I'm concerned about Ferguson in terms of if Charles Oliveira's shots start to land on him, because his Muay Thai is really starting to come together. He's landing crisp shots. He's hurting guys. He's rocking them. He's dropping them. He has a couple of KO finishes on his record now too. But I feel like it's probably first round or bust for Charles. Because by that third, fourth, and fifth minute, Tony Ferguson's already going to have his game plan going. He's already going to be sticking it in his face. It's going to be a tough night for Charles if he's not able to get it done early, in my opinion. Ferguson's not going to stop. He is legitimately not going to stop, and it's going to break Charles Oliveira. We've seen that in the past where guys are just able to break him. Paul Felder broke him. Ricardo Lamas broke him. Max Holloway broke him. Frankie Edgar broke him. Cub Swanson broke him. Like, he's going out there and beating like average dudes in this weight class. Kevin Lee obviously being the best of, but again, I'm not the highest on Kevin Lee. I expected if that fight did go to the second or third round that it was going to be very tough for him, and that's exactly what happened. I believe my lock of the night play that night also was the under 2.5, so thankfully it only took 28 seconds into that third round for me to cash that bet. But here it's either Tony Ferguson or the under 2.5. Now I'm recording this on the Saturday. I'm getting my days mixed up. I'm recording this on Thursday before the fight week, so it's actually December 3rd as of right now. There are no over-unders available yet. There is no fight, doesn't go to decision yet. I just want to quickly refresh the page here to see if anything did drop. No, nothing yet. But I either like the under 2.5 or Tony Ferguson. I think somebody's getting finished here. Charles Oliveira, I believe it was 23 out of 27 fights went under 2.5 rounds, and one of them missed by like 10 seconds. Like, it's a crazy amount of fights that he's actually gone out there. You know what? Let me get that number right for you guys before I start talking out of mass. I know for Tony Ferguson, 10 out of 17 fights have hit the under 2.5. For the Bronx, let me make sure I get this correct. I should have had this written down, but I do want to make sure I get it right for you guys. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nope, that's the one that missed by 10 seconds. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 of how many fights is that? 23, 24, 25, 26 fights. 23 of 26 fights have hit under 2.5. Now I gave you guys kind of the similar numbers with Gatsamurad and Tagulov a couple weeks ago, but that really was pertinent on Antagulov going out there and doing what he did. But for some reason, he just took the entire first round off. With Tony Ferguson, you are fighting as soon as that first bell hits. No doubt about it. So I totally expect Tony Ferguson to go out there, drown Charles Oliveira, and get that finish, whether it's in the second round or even early third round. I totally expect Tony Ferguson to finish Charles Oliveira here. Now, a part of me kind of hopes that Oliveira gets the win, because look at this guy. He's had 26 fights in the UFC, a lot of performance bonuses and fight of the night bonuses. He made his debut August of 2010, so we've truly seen him grow and mature in the UFC, and this is a big spot. This is the biggest spot he's ever had, easily the biggest spot he's ever had. A win here could potentially vault him into a title shot. You know what I mean? That's how big of a spot this is for Charles. But I just feel like Ferguson, he still has it in him. in my opinion. I think the Gaethje fight was just a little bit too bad of a matchup for him. Gaethje really stood his ground, really let his punches go, didn't mind what was coming back his way from Ferguson. But I think Charles just, you know, Charles is going to break. It's going to come down to the mental game of Charles Oliveira, and I truly think that Ferguson has everything to go out there and finish Charles Oliveira and break him as well, too. So it's either early Charles Oliveira, 2 or 3 minutes into the fight. If not, it's going to be a Tony Ferguson fight. He finishes him in the late first or second round. Even if it stretches into the third, I don't see it going really deep into that third round. So once again, I'll go with Tony Ferguson to win this fight, probably by second round, KO or submission. Submission would be an interesting one, given that Charles Oliveira has a massive amount of finishes on his record via submission, but he has gotten subbed a couple times as well. So that's something to keep an eye out for. All right. This has been a long-winded breakdown, but I'm so excited for this fight. This fight is probably the fight I've been looking forward to the most all year. Before I said that about Brandon Moreno and Brandon Royval, now it's this one. Easily this one. By far this one. So once again, I'll go with Ferguson to win this fight by second round TKO or a submission.